All right, let's do POW number 50. Actually, just clicked one by accident, but this one seemed fun. Also, I realized that more people than I know these are just getting a few views, but I noticed that some people are actually watching and commenting on them, so I appreciate that. And it just will mean that I will try harder because, if you're spending your time watching these, I want to make sure that I'm doing my best. Regardless, I'll go in blind on this one because I forgot to prepare. So that's a funny transition. Anyway, POW. Implement POW xn, which calculates x raised to the power n. Input. So yeah, it's just an exponent. Straight. Fair enough. Limitations are either x is not 0 or n is greater than 0. X is an integer. Makes sense. So it's pretty straightforward in my opinion. Just like you can just use a loop and then just have, because a power is just to addition what addition is to multiplication. So if multiplication is just adding the same number over and over again, then a power would just be multiplying the same number and over and over again, which could just be done with the loop. Now, the problem is that you also had to implement negative loops. Negative powers. And negative powers would essentially be the same thing, but instead of multiplying, you divide it. So, what's 2 to the power of negative 1? That's 1 divided by 2. So, I think that there probably is a cleaner way of doing this, but in my opinion, it's just too much thought to consider regarding the different possible like how do you configure it to go backwards instead of forwards, because when you with 3 to the power of 2 is 3 times 3, so you can start with 3 and you just multiply it, you just do x times x. But with negative powers you need to start with 1. So I guess you could, well, I guess you're going to start with 1 anyway. Okay, so let's say result equals 1. So this will just keep multiplying over and over again, or dividing over and over again. Now, if n is greater than 0, then we're going to multiply results by x over and over again. If n is less than 0, then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to divide it. So if n greater than 0 for in range n, results times equals x. Yeah, makes sense. Otherwise, we can actually just return result at the end of that. And then that way we don't have to do an else statement. Big fan of if and return rather than just what was it? If and else. I don't know why, it just always feels cleaner to me. So, if we get to this point, that means that n is not greater than 0. I think that n can be 0 though, so I think we should just maybe add, oh, actually, you know what? We do have to consider if n is 0, because if n is 0, we can just return 1. But I guess we just return result. Oh, okay, how about that? What if we just put return result at the end? Okay, and then here's the magic of it. if n is less than 0, then we do for I in range n absolute n, because, and then result divided by x. So if it's like, if it's -1, then you just loop through it one time because it'd be the absolute value of 1, because you can't really have a range of -1. So this is the list of 0 to 1, non-inclusive, so you just do it once. And the actual iteration number doesn't matter, it's just how many times you do it. And then we just can have, I guess it doesn't really matter, because n can't be less than and greater than 0. And so if neither of these execute, then result never gets affected. And that is only going to happen if n is 0. And if n is 0, then you know that you just return 1. So let's see if that works. Okay, cool. Let's see if it works for all of them. Really? Huh. I did not expect that. Well, it passed all but 15. So I'll add that as a test case. That's impressive. I really wasn't expecting that. But I guess that does. So that kind of stinks, because now I had to figure out an entire way to make it work faster. Like, I think I really had to, even though I got so close to passing everything, I don't think I can make this work, because this requires a loop for every single time, and that's just too much. So what's a faster way that I can do that? Is there a way I can do it without a loop? Because I don't know how. Huh. I mean, did I just... Wait, can you just use the... Can you just use the regular thing? Like, do you have to use a loop? Am I trying too hard at this? I figure if I had to implement my own power... But I guess you can... Oh my gosh, this would be... Is it just that? Are you serious? You gotta be kidding me. That's really funny. Does that work? No, you're kidding me. I did all this. I'm sorry. Okay, on the one hand, I feel silly because I wrote all this when I could have just used the built-in operand. But I really don't think that's on me to think that you're not supposed to use the built-in operand in a problem like this. Am I crazy? Why is this a medium problem? Is there something I'm missing? I am silly. Well, this is still a learning experience. This is still made me think. But that makes me feel rather silly. Anyway, that's funny. Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts on why this problem is a medium, or maybe it's just because you're supposed to use a different language that doesn't have that, but I think that most languages have that. Let's see, anything in the discussion? Yeah, a lot of people just were confused by this as well, it seems. Okay, I'm going crazy. Thanks for watching.